Hello everyone, I am Zazubaar, and welcome back to another review. Yesterday, or at least, a couple days previously to posting this video, I just posted a review of the BBC series Sherlock, and I expressed how much I fucking loved it. And, I've been very into TV shows produced by BBC lately because they've been proving that they're one of the best TV networks content-wise around in our modern era with Sherlock and Doctor Who and just different things. So I was very intrigued to hear from a certain someone who is joining us in this call, in this review, that they did a TV series, a short-lived TV series about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is a obviously very, very famous I suppose we can call it horror, but whatever. It's a very famous novel and character. And also, I was more intrigued because it was written by Steven Moffat, who, of course, co-created Sherlock and is the current showrunner on Doctor Who. So I was, of course, very intrigued, and I immediately watched it. And
despite my warnings, despite my warnings, you want.
Oh, by the way, everyone, Ian is here. SYDPART2 is here to discuss the show with me, which, by the way, the show is called Jekyll.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be reviewing Jekyll today in a tag team review, just because Ian is the one who prompted me to watch it, even though he was prompting me not to watch it.
The thing that generated this conversation is Bill's like, I'm really getting into BBC. It's pretty awesome. I'm glad they got a lot of stuff on Netflix. I go, don't watch Jekyll. And then you're like, why? Because it starts out so good and then gets so bad.
And we'll talk about that, but yeah, I couldn't resist. I mean, Ian, you don't tell me about a monster movie show that BBC produces and expect me not to watch it.
Well, I tried to warn you so that you didn't watch it with high hopes, and
it didn't work.
We'll see how well that worked out, apparently.
Yeah, I know, and I watched it all in one day, so...
Ugh.
Yeah, so today we're going to be reviewing Jekyll, and again, written by Steven Moffat, who, man, the guy is, I mean, just based on Sherlock alone, is a fucking genius with a pen and paper. I mean, just wow, the writing that is displayed in that show, I don't know if you've seen my review yet, but I just praise the hell out of how smart that show is.
Yeah, it is fantastic, but let's not start talking about Sherlock because we'll get...
Fair enough. I just wanted to say the precedence that I went into with watching Jekyll. Very high expectations from Moffat. But, apparently, this is one of his earlier shows.
Yeah, this is one of the first things that he was, like, the runner on.
Yeah, so let's get into it a little bit. Ian, since you're the one who got me to watch this, why don't you tell our listeners your thoughts on it, and what ended up prompting me to watch it. So your generalized thoughts on Jekyll as a TV show.
Well, the thing about Jekyll is, I was going through the very much same thing that Bill is. I watched Sherlock. I watched the first series of Sherlock when it was on Netflix, and when it was the only thing on Netflix as far as Sherlock goes. And it was fantastic, and I was talking to my friend Kevin about how much I like Sherlock and how I wish there was more of it, and he goes, well, watch some Doctor Who, because Moffat was behind a lot of that too. And so then I started watching Doctor Who, and I watched all of that. And then I'm sitting there searching Netflix for other BBC stuff because I was on a kick, and then there's Jekyll. I go, oh, cool, Jekyll. And I start watching it, and it starts out so strong, and it's so intriguing right at the very beginning. And then I'm going to say, Bill, do you remember the name of the black guy? The
Benjamin.
Benjamin. After that character dies, the show gets so bad and convoluted and messy, and it bugs the hell out of me. I don't like bad things, but what I hate more, what I despise, is when something should be good and it ends up being terrible. That drives me up the wall. That's my major thing is with the book Joker by Brian Azzarello. It should have been amazing, and it was a pile of shit. And it's the same thing with this series. It should have been amazing, and it started out amazing, and it gets so bad.
It really does. Here's the thing. I actually expected to disagree with Ian on this, because when I first started watching it, I actually got past the scene that you referred to when we were talking about it initially was the scene where Hyde kills the lions.
Okay, that was just so cool, though.
When I watched it, I was like, that is pretty over the top, but it doesn't ruin this for me because this premise is really intriguing.
Yeah.
What ruined it for me is actually the exact point you just mentioned. After that awesome scene where Hyde confronts Claire for the first time,
Yeah.
that's when the show gets bad for me. That dialogue scene is really good.
Yeah.
I think. It's after Benjamin shows up and there's that really awkward... Whenever someone is pointing a gun at Mr. Hyde, it's not very intriguing. Because it's just like, oh god, here we go again. Mr. Hyde has a gun pointed at him. He's going to scare the shit out of these people. They're not going to shoot him.
Yeah.
Just because we still got 3 episodes to go.
Yeah.
So he's not going to get shot yet. And it's nearly hair pulling out inducing because it happens every goddamn episode after Mr. Hyde becomes a frequently viewable character. Because at first you don't see him at all. So
and his first reveal is like the actor they got for this, Douglas Mickaman. I think
no,
his name is? Wait, no.
No, it's James Nesbitt.
Okay, sorry, I'm on the Wikipedia page real quick.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine.
He is awesome at how well he does this transformation thing. I mean,
oh my god, yeah.
He just pulls it off so damn well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is fantastic. And at first it did bother me a little bit just initially, because they don't show Hyde for quite a while in the first episode.
Yeah.
And they build him up as being a completely separate person. Just completely individual, different person, looks different, acts different, there's a physical change, they make a big deal out of that.
That was really cool because it's so subtle, but then, like, you go, okay, how subtle could it really be? And then when his wife sees him, and she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were my husband. That sold it. I mean, it shouldn't work, but he had some of the best dialogue when he was describing that scene where he goes, Lois Lane with half the brain.
I thought that was really funny. But again, when he first transforms, when he's being threatened with that with the knife, and by the way, let me just say, we are going to spoil the shit out of this show.
Yeah.
So if you have not seen it and for some reason you want to, God bless you. But
here's what I'm gonna say. Watch up until all right. Let's go with Jekyll Fannin because I don't think that's a thing yet. Anyway, watch until the episode where Benjamin dies, and then just pretend that everyone went, okay, fuck this shit, and let them go.
Exactly, because after that, it becomes like the most cliched. Also, why the fuck would they do that kind of convoluted and messy?
Yeah.
It's like, what happened to... Did Moffat die or something? Because this is like... I mean, obviously, it's because he was this was his first show where they let him control what was going on. But it's just like, what the fuck happened? Because after that, it's just like, what the fuck is up with this show?
And don't get me wrong, it's not like everything after that is bad. It's just...
No, not at all. I was still into it.
It's
but,
so messy after that it just ruins it. There's the bad outweighs the good at that point.
I agree. It really does become a train wreck. It really does. Just because things start to not make sense. Characters and plot threads completely disappear. And are brought back with no explanation. It's very, very messy. And again, I think that's the best way to describe Jekyll is messy. It's not like that at first at all. At first, it is brilliant as a modern reworking of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
And that's not even a reworking. It's the effects that this doctor's work have had on the 21st century.
Yeah, and let me say this. What that effect ultimately turns out to be is one of the most disappointing things ever put on television.
Really? You didn't like the idea that it was this genetic, trait that had been developed, as...
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm talking about the ending.
Oh, with the mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how they explain why there are multiple Mr. Hydes.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hated that shit. I was spitting at the screen. Not literally, but figuratively. I was spitting at the screen. I was like, you motherfucker. This is it is a really intriguing premise to do a modern sequel, I suppose, to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And doing it in terms of, it's a genetic trait. There's no potion required, even though, again, stupidly, it turns out no one needed any potion. It's just like, it is a really intriguing premise to have it be genetic and have it be just it's a generation, nearly like how Frankenstein is presented on film. It's just a generational curse.
Mm.
And I think that that's really interesting.
Yeah, I would have preferred if it was just a dormant thing that, like, we had the original Dr. Jekyll, which was a dumb point to bring in halfway into your fucking series.
Yeah, I agree. And it was explained away in one line, so.
Yeah, that was the original pronunciation. Who cares? You're just trying to give yourself credibility, but it doesn't matter at this
point. You're just trying to say that you watched the first film version, and kudos, that's one of my favorite versions, but...
Yeah, but anyway, it's explained away, and it would have been better if it just had skipped generations of the family until it reemerged in him,
I agree. Yeah, I think the biggest problem with the show is that it overcomplicates things.
Yeah.
It
once
really
you
does.
Start getting the whole government and the private investigators involved, and they he's a clone. Nope. And it's just like, oh my god, you're doing too much. It's a very simple premise. Jekyll and Hyde are in the 21st century. That's it. That's all you.
And that's such an intriguing premise. And the first episode is so good.
Yeah, especially when he's explaining the rules. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's so intriguing. It's just like, oh my god, they have a tape recorder that they talk to each other with. Just they have to hire an assistant that works for both of them. Fucking fascinating shit, man.
And I like the big thing that gets me, and we've brought it up a couple times, is the physical change, because that's what distinguishes this from multiple personality disorder, or rather DID, exactly. Dissociative identity disorder. Is like, that's what the I'm gonna call her a nurse, I guess, says. Is, oh, so you have DID? And he goes, no, there's a physical change. And you're just like, what? Because his eyes get, like, smaller in his head, his teeth change, he seems like 2 inches taller, and like he's lost pounds.
His jawline changes, his hairline changes. It's a very apparent... what is it at first? When he first transforms, I was disappointed. Just because I expected it to be a noticeable change. I'm not saying like Hulk, the Hulk version of Hyde that we see in modern era.
Yeah.
But I thought like it would be a different actor or something. But
yeah, but
ultimately,
then go ahead.
No, I was just saying. But once he starts talking, it becomes brilliant. Because oh my God, James Nesbitt, you owned this role. Really did, man.
I love the speeches that he gives. Just that I love fast talking characters. Just from not only from a writing standpoint, because it's hard to write for a fast talker, but just from the perspective of an actor to be able to do that. I'm more impressed with it when I see it on stage, but in film it's still brilliant. That's what I love about some Jack Sparrow and a lot of the characters Johnny Depp's able to pull off. It's really hard to talk really, really fast on screen with lines someone else wrote. It's easier to do when you wrote them yourself, but it's so hard to do when it's someone else's work.
And again, he completely owns it. It is really fantastic. I have one problem with it, and it's not even his fault. It's ultimately the reveal of what Hyde is. It doesn't work at all for me. What they reveal Hyde to be, again, the classic interpretation of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is that Dr. Jekyll is the repressed, kind of bookwormy kind of character who doesn't, he has very, extreme inhibitions. And Mr. Hyde is supposed to be getting rid of those inhibitions. He does whatever the fuck he wants, without any questions or concern. He just does whatever the hell he wants. He has no constraints. He just lets loose. He is the ultimate definition of having no standards. He just does whatever the fuck he wants, and it's awesome. And that's clearly what they're trying to go for with this version as well. And then what they explain Hyde to be is fucking stupid as hell. It ruins any kind of comments on the human condition that Mr. Hyde was supposed to do.
Yeah. What
they reveal Hyde to be is not the physical manifestation of our dark side, of our truest, darkest, deepest desires come to life. It's fucking love.
Ugh.
Captain Planet!
Monty!
Mr. Hyde is Monty, basically. I am not even kidding you
I just want
guys.
to see James Nesbitt get the little pink ring and go, huh?
Yeah, as Mr. Heist's like, heart! By the way, that's the thing I really that's another thing I really like is the voice he uses.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's clearly an Irish accent, and it works. He does different Irish accents though. Like he does a very kind of slow talking, kind of repressed thing with Jekyll, which works really really well. But then he does that fast talking like a really popular guy in the Irish pub who has fun and leads the men, so to speak. With Mr. Hyde, this much deeper, high pitched accent.
Mm-hmm. Wait, deeper, high pitched?
Yeah, I meant deeper pitch, higher frequency. Sorry.
Yeah, I gotcha. And I like the crack in his voice that's there. You know, it's got that kind of like that rolling of certain letters and stuff like that. And I'm not going to try to roll my letters because I can't do that. And just the like it's got that little click and stuff while he's talking that works. It's just his mouth clicks in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Whenever Mr. Hyde is on screen and giving a monologue or whatever, no, not really a monologue. Whenever he's just giving a speech, whenever he has a lot of dialogue, you're just hooked.
And what I think really worked about how he speaks and stuff is the fact that they make a big deal that he doesn't get to go out in public and talk to people very often. So you can totally buy that he's rehearsed all of this in his head.
Yeah, that and also in the early episodes, it's clear that they're going for the classic deepest, darkest desires thing with Mr. Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear that that's the intention. They just totally fuck it over later. So it makes sense that he would be the very repressed, doesn't really, very basic, thank you kind of talking Jekyll would turn, or Jackman in this case. I know I keep saying Jekyll, Jackman, would turn into this fast talking, doesn't shut up, wisecracking Hyde. And it makes perfect sense and fits in with the original source material. Ian, let me ask you this. Now that we're getting on Hyde here, how did you feel about him eating people?
It was a little forced. I didn't think you needed that, to be honest.
I agree. I completely agree. Stupid ass, in my opinion, decision. I mean, why? That's my question, is just why would you even bring that in? Because he never even does it. I mean, he's clearly, and this is another thing that bugs me. They never decide whether or not he's killed people in the past.
Well, like there's that flashback with the bully, essentially.
Yeah, but you're supposed to assume that he's not dead because Jekyll makes a big deal of the fact, Jackman makes a big deal out of the fact that guy, that he's never killed before, but he has the capability to.
Okay. I couldn't remember if that guy survived or not.
Yeah, he did. But again, they just can't decide because the way the flashbacks work, it seems like they're implying that he's killed people a lot, but Jackman makes a big deal out of, and even Hyde makes a big deal out of, he never has. He's almost all talk and no action in a way with that.
Yeah, until it happens with Benjamin.
Yeah, I love that. I love that one. Before he dies, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like when he actually does it, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Because he does it so quick.
Yeah, there's no hesitation for it. That was what was great about it. It's like, I'm going to kill you. If you don't get away, I'm going to kill you. You're not going to... Okay.
Yeah, I love how nonchalantly he does it. Oh shit, I just completely forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know. It's just, I like I said, there's a lot that really worked, and it's disappointing. It's like we're going to use that same example that we used for They Live. It's like Steven Moffat was at the typewriter, and he was working on it, and he goes, he's got his friend there that's just, you always got that friend that just hangs out. He's got his friend there, and he goes, I'm going to go get some food. Would you mind just writing a couple pages? This part of the story is not really that important anyway. Just write some action scenes. And then the guy does, and he adds all these plot elements. It's like Moffat didn't even check it before he sent it off to them.
He didn't check the government conspiracy or the convoluted explanation of what Jackman and Hyde are, which I still think that's fucking stupid.
The manifestation of love through a generation.
And also just, the cloning thing makes more sense to me.
Yeah, because he looks exactly like... That's the thing. BBC does that a lot, where they'll do the ancestor that looks exactly like the current character thing. Like, guys, a similar forehead. Like, I wouldn't mind if you went and got the guy's dad, if his scene was really brief, if he's not an actor, you know?
Yeah, because Jekyll doesn't have much screen time. It's basically a 5-minute scene.
Yeah, and, like, he says maybe 3-4 words in the entire thing.
Well, no, way more than that.
I'm kidding.
Okay, yeah, he has very little dialogue. It's basically one episode. Also, let me say this. Ian, how'd you feel about them pulling the way that a lot of Dracula stories will handle the novel Dracula, where Bram Stoker he ripped off someone and he got the story of what happened with Dracula and then fictionalized it. They do that here with Robert Louis Stevenson.
Based on an actual case, blah blah. I don't.
Yeah, it's totally unnecessary in my opinion. Completely. You know why it's there?
Because Jekyll's so popular? I don't know.
It's there for shock value. It's there just because if you tell a guy that he's an ancestor of Dr. Jekyll, it's going to struck a nerve. Unless they do it in a universe where Dr. Jekyll is a real person, which it's not. So he's going to be like, who the fuck is Dr. Jekyll?
See, I wouldn't mind if they just said that the Jekyll and Hyde story actually happened in the past, and now otherwise science and everything has moved on in the same way. You know, people spent years trying to replicate it, but to no success. Because,
Yeah,
I mean, we did have a super soldier program. It happened. It doesn't work, but it happened.
Yeah, the ideas presented in stories like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are not necessarily unrealistic.
I mean,
they
actually,
just haven't worked.
Real quick, if anyone's going to try to call me on, name one thing that people did to try to create super soldiers. Hitler. That's where we get meth from.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's plagued
for
the
sure.
21st century with a bunch of assholes with rotting teeth that can't form a cohesive thought.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, that was completely unnecessary in my opinion. It does nothing for the plot whatsoever. Actually, it does. Actually, you know what it does?
It complicates it.
Yes, but you know what it also, and yeah, it does, and it's a problem because they make a reveal out of something that we thought we already knew, that there was no potion.
Yeah.
Why the fuck even bother? Why the fuck even bother with that? Just leave it alone.
Like, alright.
Just tell us a modern day Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story. Basically, just take the premise set up in the first episode and run with it. Just explore what it would be like to have this condition in modern times. And that's what the first, 2 episodes do, and they do it really, really well. And then it just totally fucks it up because it has to go in all this complicated, this bullshit. And one of them is the fact that Dr. Jekyll never took a potion.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it never even happened to Dr. Jekyll. It was like a maid, right?
Do they even explain it?
Like the guy that's writing the book, essentially, fictionalizing it, rather,
Robert Louis Stevenson.
Yeah, he writes down on a piece of paper and hands it to Dr. Jekyll. And the guy's like, it's the maid, or it's the girl that's been working for Dr. Jekyll. And I'm like, what? You're gonna remove it from Jekyll, but he's still the answer. What?
It's like, it really overcomplicates it. And then they just throw out that Claire is a clone. It's just like, wait, what?
Wait, she was? I completely missed that.
Yeah, Claire's a clone.
Of who?
Of the maid.
What?
Yeah, that's why he's the only one with the Mr. Hyde condition.
Well, no, because his mom had it.
Oh yeah, good point. Ian, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Exactly.
It really doesn't. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But that is the explanation they give. The reason why... Okay, they actually explain it. The reason why Jackman is the one who's walking and talking as a normal person is because he has Claire.
Okay.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. It overcomplicates things. It, tries to explain things that didn't need explaining.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very unprofessional. It's very, very sloppy writing because they throw it out in the last 10 minutes of the last episode. So
yep, pretty much.
And, yeah, it's just like, It's so fucking stupid. It really is. Also, just again, explaining things that didn't need to be explained. The old woman who follows Jackman around the whole series, she turns out to be his mother. I think that's something we all already knew. And then they make a reveal out of the fact that
she has a Hyde side too. Yeah.
His father is not a descendant of Jekyll or a descendant of Hyde. No, it's her. It's like you're just giving us a shock ending.
Yeah,
that's all
it's obviously just trying to set up a sequel, which thank God that never happened.
Oh fuck! Well, modern day Moffat might be able to pull it off.
Yeah, but that's the thing is it's based on such a convoluted thing. You just need to restart it. You know what? Don't even restart it. Just go back to after he kills Benjamin and redo the rest of the series from that exact moment.
Or just even ignore stuff. Just like, Hyde's dead anyway, so I don't know if there's a place to take it.
No, because that's the thing is they imply that Hyde can't die.
Oh wait, do they?
Yeah, because that's why, like, the mom comes around and everything, and she's like, "No, you didn't kill Hyde," and then she turns into her version of it. The thing I didn't like about the whole transformation was the creepy teeth for no reason.
Yeah, again, I don't understand why Mr. Hyde has to eat people. It's like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Because they frequently make reference to the Wolfman.
Doesn't he in the book?
No.
No?
No, absolutely not.
In any of the things, like in any of the classic things, does he eat people? Because, it's not
in Van Helsing.
Well, no. Well, that's the thing. It happened in Van Helsing. It happened in this, or it's alluded to in this. And here's the thing. I'm reading All-Star Western, and Hyde's in that right now. And
is that why you wanted me to read that?
Well, yeah. And he eats people in that. So, like, there are 3 different versions, all presumably that only have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in common, where Hyde eats people. So where does that come from?
Hang on. I'm going to check in the book, because the book... Hyde he has his own house. It's like he's his own separate person. He lives in society. He's just a fucking dick. Hang on, Ian. Talk for like 2 minutes. I'm gonna look this up quick.
Okay. No, it's just like they imply it. The one scene that you find yourself rooting for Dr. Jackman throughout the majority of the series, but the one scene that really comes to mind for me that I'm in love with Hyde, is when they go for the flashback of the first time Hyde ever really came around, and they show him beating up the guy that was harassing Jackman and his wife as they were eating ice cream on their honeymoon, I believe it was. That was fantastic, because I hate bullies, and I've, as someone that's been bullied, I've wanted to do that my entire life. So to see myself rooting, yes, kill him, it's a great moral dilemma kind of thing, because you obviously, the whole thing Hyde's doing there is just, he's doing what all of us want to do when we're put into certain situations that we hold back because society or what have you tells you to. And I really did love that scene, and then it gives you that kind of moment of pause where, oh shit, should I feel bad about that? It makes you question your own moralities, your own values, and that's something I enjoy in fiction. Something I enjoy in day-to-day life, but it's done well in fiction. So I really do love that scene. That's probably my favorite scene in the series.
Yeah, I just looked it up in the book. No, he does not eat people in the book.
Well, I figure it's not the book, but like in one of the movies, the older movies, does he or something? It's just
no, he doesn't in the original 33 version. He doesn't or 32, excuse me, the Paramount version. He does. I don't understand where that comes from, because all Mr. Hyde is he's just a really mean dude.
Well, no, it's just weird that it's like in 3 different versions. I figured it has to come from somewhere.
That's weird, because the Hammer version he does, in the Hammer version, Hyde is actually, they do a funny thing in the Hammer version of it, where Hyde is actually a nicer dude.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah, Jekyll is a dick, and Hyde is a nice person.
Oh. Well, no, it's weird that it's got to be from somewhere. I mean, you don't get three different people saying Hyde eats. You don't get three different writers saying Hyde eats people unless it came from an older source. Like it feels like one of those things. Like I believe it's King Lear, where no one had ever done this before. But one production of King Lear, the characters are arguing at a dinner scene, and the actor, it was a method actor. And he just, in the middle of the argument, on a live performance, unrehearsed, he just flips the whole fucking table. And everything, in just rage and, in the moment kind of acting, he just flips the whole table. And now I defy you to find a production of King Lear that they don't do that.
Yeah. I will, and also, I'm gonna flip the fucking table is a big thing now, so. I mean...
Someone get me a fucking table to flip!
Yeah, it's just a big trope now. Yeah, I don't understand why Hyde has to eat people. He doesn't, so he doesn't do it anyway, so it's not like it goes anywhere. It makes Hyde out to be more of a monster, and I mean, he technically is, but he's also not. He's just he's not a monster in the traditional sense of a monster that looks like monstrous. I mean, he looks a little creepy, but
I did like the turn of making Hyde into a serial killer kind of person. I thought that was clever.
Yeah, it works. I mean, again, but it's not a monstrous kind of thing. Like, I mean, versions of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde have tried to do that. Like in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Van Helsing, they both do like a hulkish version of Mr. Hyde. So, I mean, that works fine. It makes sense that it could go that far, I suppose. But, again, it doesn't do anything for the plot or anything. It's just occasionally he gets to threaten that he's going to eat someone.
Yeah.
And there's also one line that...
Part of it, I think, is him just trying to intimidate people.
Yeah, and fine, but again, it's like, why did it have to be eating people? Why not just threaten he's going to kill them? Because I have no problem with giving Mr. Hyde superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I think that's a good idea. Especially for a show like this, which is trying to have action elements, where it's like he has to, rip a fence in half or survive a gunshot. That's fine. The power draining thing is a little bit too much for me.
Oh yeah, with the electrical pulses.
I don't understand what the fuck is that's supposed to mean. I mean, is it? I don't understand it. Is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde all of a sudden like fucking Cole from Infamous, where he just has to drain energy to use his superpowers?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're kind of talking in circles with the show now. Is there anything specifically that you would like to bring up?
No, it's just I feel like the Jekyll-Hyde dynamic has been outdone by something that was based on it, which is why I just linked that image to you, and I hope we use it as the image for the show or for the video. And that's the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, indeed. I mean,
like obviously,
you guys know me, Hulk fan.
Yeah, it's a story that was obviously, or the character was obviously derived from Jekyll and Hyde. If not intentionally, I'd be amazed, but it's obviously there. And I think that the character dynamic of Banner and Hulk has taken all the elements that appear in Jekyll and Hyde and does it better.
Yeah, and it's funny because this version tries to throw in some of the Hulk tropes of Hyde being a child.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it doesn't make any sense because he's going around fucking prostitutes, so it's like...
Well, no, I mean, if you had the access to a man's body as a child, you'd probably do similar things. They're saying mind of the child, but urges of a grown-ass man.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, it still doesn't... I like Hyde, because here's the thing, the Jekyll-Hyde dynamic can still work, even with our, the modern-day version of the Hulk, just because Hyde is supposed to be evil.
Yeah.
In most versions. The Hulk is not supposed to be evil. He's supposed to be misunderstood. That's where the Frankenstein side comes into it. But Hyde is, in the book, they call him evil, and in the show, they call him a demon.
Yeah.
So, just don't even worry about making him, he doesn't have to be likable even. Mr. Hyde in this show acts like a total asshole, but he's fucking so much fun to watch, you don't care.
Yeah. And I think I got the perfect joke that I want to end on, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
All right. What did Spencer Tracy do to prepare for the role of Mr. Hyde.
What?
Frank. And no one got that joke, but it's okay.
All right, guys. Well, that's our review of Jekyll. Again, Ian, just final recommendations. There are way, way better versions of this story out there. I think it's still worth watching, though.
I'd watch up till Benjamin dies.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing, because the first scene in the first episode is fucking awesome. And the first episode itself is really brilliant. Once the government conspiracy stuff starts to become the main plot thread after episode 3, it does get fucking horrible. But again, even in that, there's still some interesting ideas. It's just, I guarantee you guys, all the questions you have about what Hyde is and what Jackman is, every answer is disappointing.
Yep.
Everything. Do not be surprised. I'm just warning you guys. Excuse me. The answer is going to disappoint you. So, with my hiccups, Ian being tired, and our weariness at Jekyll, we bid you a fair good night. I'm Zazubaar.
I'm
He's SYDPART2. Indeed. Signing out.